Today I'm going to review the Wizard 2 from NYXI, which is compatible with Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, the original GameCube, and the Wii, and PC. So obviously this is the sequel to the original Wizard, which I did have criticisms on, but it seems like they did a lot of major upgrades with this one, so I'm kind of excited to test it out. So let's unbox this and I'll go over the new features. And as always, I'll have a discount code and a link down in the description. And also, if you join the NYXI's Discord, you can earn $4 in discounts you can use on their website. So in the box, you get the controller and some accessories. Here's the controller itself. The design is obviously the original GameCube controller, and the Wizard 2 is actually more like the original GameCube controller than the first Wizard was. Except for there's been a lot of upgrades and better features, so I'm glad they listened to the community on this one. The accessories you get in the box are two USB-C cables. I'll explain why in a second. It has a user guide showing you how to connect it to different platforms or customize your buttons. And then you have this awesome accessory. This is basically a receiver that allows you to pair it with the controller so you can plug it directly into the original GameCube, or you can plug it into PC or your Nintendo Switch dock. You can also use this with your Wii. So this is basically how to pair the controller to whatever you're using it with, except for obviously the Switch, which you can just connect wirelessly, or you can connect it to your Switch as Joy-Cons. So that's why there's two USB-C cables in here. One is for the receiver if you want to plug it into your PC, and the other cable is just to charge your controller. Speaking of charging, what I really like about NYXI's controllers is that they just let you charge your controller right in the center using the middle piece instead of having to charge both of these separately, which other companies do. So just having one plug that charges both makes it way easier. You can also charge your controller just by connecting these to your Switch. So let's go over some of the improvements that they've made and some cool features that they've added. The first thing that I was really impressed with is the D-pad. I remember on the first Wizard, the D-pad was like really stiff, and when I was moving my hand around, it reacted fine with gameplay, but it was just so bulky and hard to push around. I just really didn't like that. But this is a light touch D-pad, so it uses light touch switches and it's very crisp. You can really feel the D-pad clicking and it's easy to push around. It feels way better than the first Wizard's D-pad. So I'm really glad that they listened to the community and improved this D-pad tremendously. And something interesting with the trigger on the Wizard 2 is they're just like the original GameCube controller, where you can push down so far and then there's a click at the bottom so you can control your GameCube games like the original controllers could. And these are Hall effect triggers, but you can switch them to like a hair trigger. So basically on the back, what you do is you just push this switch over, and you can turn both of these into like a hair trigger, so there's not much travel to them, so this would be good for like a shooter or something like that. If you want a mechanical switch trigger on the back, you can instantly turn it into that. And if you want to switch your triggers back to have more range of motion or play on the original GameCube, then you can just switch these back, and then you'll have that range of motion again with the click at the bottom. Now, in my opinion, I think they improved the joysticks on the Wizard 2 because these are TMR Hall joysticks, so it has high precision and accuracy. And for the joystick rings in the plastic, it obviously has the original GameCube octagonal design. And these joysticks have a quick dead zone switch mode, so basically, if you want to go into a mode where there's no dead zone at all and you want these to be very responsive, you can hold down on the plus button and then click and hold both of your sticks down for 2 seconds, and it'll go into the no dead zone mode if you want that. If you had the first Wizard, you'll remember that you could take the joysticks off and it had different options and it was complicated. So I like that they kept the joysticks simpler on this controller and they just focused on improving the controller itself and giving you better features. So just holding the controller in my hands made me realize that there's something else that they improved with the Wizard 2, which I hated on the first Wizard. You can't really see it when I'm holding it like this, but if I turn the controller over, you can see that this finger is resting right on this button and I can easily click it no problem, which I could not do on the first Wizard controller. When I had my fingers around on the first one, I would try to click the button and I just couldn't. It wasn't very ergonomic for me. I had to reach my finger down and press the button. Like a really bad design back here, but on this one they improved it a lot. You can see that the button's kind of sticking out more, so it makes it a lot easier to press. And when I hold the controller like this on both sides, I'm able to hit these buttons just so easily when I'm just holding it normally. And for me, that's a gigantic improvement. So they really are listening, and they are obviously improving it, which is awesome. Now, if you don't know what these buttons are, they're basically mappable buttons. So you can set these up to be one of the buttons on the front, so you can use it on the back instead, or you can set up a sequence, so you can do a different button combination, and then you just have to hit one of these buttons once and it'll do that combination for you. And you're able to set up the mappings for these buttons using the mechanical gear icon buttons on the front. These two buttons are also used for turbo if you want to set your buttons to do any turbo functions. So it's nice that they remove those buttons on the bottom of the first wizard and just put them here. So it's a lot simpler and it's easier to reach here rather than trying to reach down here on the bottom. Speaking of the buttons, the A, B, X, Y buttons are mechanical micro switches, so they basically feel like a mouse click. The bumper buttons on the top have a really nice click to them, but they don't have that mouse click feel that you get with these buttons. And if you're interested in the longevity of these buttons, they're rated to have a lifespan up to 500,000 presses. Now, a couple things you can't see with this controller is it has HD vibration, so it has a lot more detailed feedback. And it does have NFC support for amiibos and 6-axis gyro. Alright, I'm going to test this controller out for you using two devices. First, I'll connect to Windows 11 using my Asus ROG Ally and the receiver that came with the controller. And then I'm going to connect to the Nintendo Switch and we can test out some of the controller's features. And I'm also going to try this KeyLinker app, which will basically allow me to customize the controller a lot easier rather than doing button combinations. This app also allows you to download and install new firmware for the controller. Okay, so I'm running Windows 11 on my Asus ROG Ally, and I have it plugged into my dock here, so it's in docked mode at the moment. So we're going to connect the controller to the PC using the receiver through USB-A. So I'll plug my USB-C end into the receiver, and then USB-A I'll plug into the dock. So with that sound and this blinking, it means that it's now connected to the PC. I just got to pair it with the controller. Now the cool thing is you can connect this to a PC through X input mode or D input mode. For this video, I'm just going to use X input, the same as an Xbox controller uses. So I'll hold down on the receiver button to prepare it to connect to the controller. When that's blinking fast, I'll hold down on the home button to connect through X input mode. So that's my right side connected. I just got to do the same thing for the left side. So I'll hold down on the receiver again so it blinks really fast. And then I'll hold down on the screen button. And now my controller is connected to the PC. This is basically working the exact same as an Xbox controller would work with a PC. So I'm just on Xbox Game Pass here playing GoldenEye 007. My home button will work like the Xbox guide. So yeah, if you've ever wanted to play GoldenEye from N64 using a GameCube controller, now you can. So the easiest way to connect this to your Switch for the first time is to just connect the rails. And I can already feel the controller is vibrating. And they're both saying that they're paired on the top. So yeah, it feels really comfortable to hold, and these controllers have a pretty thick body, so you can see that they're a lot thicker than your Switch screen. So it makes the controller a lot more ergonomic. And they're working just fine playing this way. And they have the same design as single Joy-Cons. And you can see the LED indicators in the middle says Player 1. And yeah, I can definitely feel all the improvements that they made with the D-pad and the buttons. It's way better than the first Wizard controller. I also just realized when I was running across these things, you can hear the music coming from the controller. Okay, I'm going to zoom in here so I can show you the turbo function and the buttons on the back. And I'm also going to try that app to see if it makes our life any easier. So starting with turbo, if you see, if I hold down on the B button, Mario just shoots one fireball. But if I hold this turbo button and the B button for a few seconds, then the turbo will be set up. So now if I hold the B button, you can see that the turbo's firing really fast. So multiple fireballs are actually shooting out. Now if I hold it again for a few seconds, you can see that Mario's firing the fireballs on his own, and this B button is being pushed down a whole bunch of times So it's basically doing it without me having to push the button at all. So I can run around and jump, and Mario will just keep shooting fireballs. So you can see how the turbo can help you out, especially in some kind of shooter game. Or even a game like Minecraft or something where you have to like dig a bunch. Now if I hold this again for the third time, you can see it just instantly shut off. And if I hold the B button now, Mario will only shoot one fireball. And you can see that that light's not blinking down here anymore because there's no turbo function applied. Now, what if I wanted to set the fireball up to be the back button instead? All I'd have to do is hold this button again and then the back button at the same time for a few seconds. And you can see it's ready to set something up. So I'll just hit fireball and then I'll hit the back button to save it, and it vibrated to let me know that it's ready to go. So now if I want to shoot a fireball, I can just hit this back button. So to clear that out, I'll just hold this button and the back button again for a few seconds. Now it's ready to set something else up again, but I won't hit any buttons except the back button, just to tell it that I don't want anything set up. So now if I hit the back button, nothing happens. So what if I wanted Mario to do a sequence, like jump and shoot a fireball? You can set that up as the back button. So what I'll do is I'll hold this button again and the back button again for a few seconds. Now the controller is ready to set something up. So I'll just go jump, fireball, and then hit the back button to save it. And now, if I just hit the back button once, Mario will jump and shoot a fireball, just like I did. If I want to clear that out, again, I just hold this button and the back button for a few seconds, and I won't hit any buttons this time. I'll just hit the back button to let it know that I don't want it to do anything. So I basically just wanted to show you how to set up a sequence, but you can use your imagination and set up whichever kind of sequence that would really help you out in whichever game you're playing. Okay, I was just playing around with this app and I'm going to show you some really cool features that it has. So you can see that I connected to both of my Joy-Cons with the app. I turned the switch back on and I connected my controller to the switch. So let's just customize some things with the app. So if I hit my right Joy-Con and I go into edit, you can see that I can customize my face buttons to switch them out. So like if I switch my A and B buttons, for example, so A is B and I'm going to change my B button to be A and apply it. Now my B button's making Mario jump and A should shoot a fireball. So if I just change that back to the way that they were and say apply, now A will make him jump and B will be a fireball. You can change your joystick's effective range. So right now it's set to medium, but you can say large, 0, small. You can also change your vibration strength or just turn it off if you don't want it. But you'll see that there's a turbo function up here. So remember when I wanted Mario to shoot fireballs repeatedly? If I want to turn that back on, I can just say B button and apply it. And now I have turbo set up. So I can just turn that turbo off and then apply. And you can see that the fireball turbo is now off. And the last option up here is you can just change your operation shutdown time. It has a few notches here. I'll just leave it at 1. But something that's really important is there's firmware on this controller, and if you want to update that, you can hit these 3 dots up here in the corner, and then you can update your device. You can also factory reset your device if you want and do things like a key test, but you'll notice that there's an advanced mode to this app. So if I hit advanced, and yes, I want to switch modes, you'll have all these options to change your keys around again. But if I go into joysticks now, you can see that I can do different curves. I can reverse X and Y. So yeah, you can do little tiny adjustments. There's also some templates down to this graph. And if I go into my vibration mode, it has that strength option, but you can also customize how weak or strong the vibration is. Under my turbo option in advanced mode, you'll see I got the option to turn on turbos again, but there's a couple of extra features here, so let's just talk about manual versus automatic. So last time I just had a turbo on manually. I just selected B as a turbo, applied it, and now I can do a turbo fireball. But if you want Mario to shoot those by himself, you can see there's an automatic option up here which has like a bigger slider versus half a slider for manual. What that means is if I hit B again, it gives it like the full slider like automatic. I'll just hit apply. And now I only have to hit that once. And Mario will keep shooting fireballs on his own. It works better in a game like a shooter or something. I'm just giving you this as an example, but you can see you have more advanced options. You can also change the speed of your turbo from slow, medium, or fast, and you can customize it by hertz. By default, it's at 12 hertz. The speed of your turbo really comes in handy for shooter games when you want to control how fast the fire rate is of the gun, for example. But yeah, I'll just turn that off, and you can see he stopped shooting. Okay, so something really awesome about this app, when you're in advanced mode, you can click on your macros and set something up. So you'll notice that there's a record button down here. So I'll just hit record and then jump and shoot a fireball and then apply. And it will have that saved here. So now if I hit the back button on the controller, Mario will jump and shoot a fireball just like I recorded it in the app. So you can see that A was set up as 1 and B was set up as 3, so that was jump, fireball. And you can even adjust the milliseconds of whatever macro you just set up. And you'll notice on the bottom there's an option to do circle. So when that's off, if I hold on my back button, Mario will just do that once. But if I turn circle on and then hit apply, you'll see that if I hold on my back button, Mario will keep doing the macro sequence that I set up. And you can change the timing of that too. And if I hit the red arrow down here, you can see that there's some macro sequences that you can save. But again, if you want your back button just to be one button, you can clear this out. So let's just record this to just be jump for my back button. So I'll just hit record and just jump and then stop and apply it. So now my back button is just jump. And if I want to go back to shooting fireballs when I jump, I can just hit record again and then jump, fireball, and apply that. And now my back button will do that. So it is easy to use the app once you get used to it. If I want to clear these out, I can just hit record and then the back button and then apply that. And you can see these are all cleared out, so my back button doesn't do anything. It's the same way that this button works on the controller, so it's just up to you if you want more customization in the app. The last thing I'll tell you about is when you hit other, you can calibrate your gyro controls. And again, this is connected to my right side, so I can calibrate the gyro of my right side. So I'll just say calibrate, please lay the handle flat and press plus, and then apply that, and then that's it. So there's basically 2 ways to customize your controller. You can use this gear icon button and do turbo or macros, and if you want more advanced options and update the firmware and adjust your joysticks and a bunch of more advanced features, obviously you can use this app. Just wanted to share that with you so you know about the advanced features that this has. And again, using my right joystick, I can tell that it's a little bit sensitive in this game. So this is a really good advantage of having that app, because now I can just adjust my joystick in the app and I can change the sensitivity so that it works a lot better for me. So yeah, pretty cool. Again, use my discount code below on their website. I hope you found this video helpful. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.